Cool beans.
Cool beans.
Cool beans.
Cool beans.
Cool
Cool beans.
Hi guys! Welcome to the first episode of the Cool Beans Show! Yay!
So today we are having Earnest, which is a band from the UK who recently released their second EP called Reasons to Stay Alive.
Yep, and we spoke to them about the process behind making the EP, their inspirations, and their plans for the future. It was a really cool conversation.
Yeah, so keep watching or keep listening. And we'll see you after the interview. Have fun.
Hello, welcome
Hi
again.
guys.
Hey, nice to meet you both.
Welcome to the very first Cool Beans episode. So first, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Okay,
Sure.
so we're
do you
in a
wanna do
band
this?
called In Earnest. I'm Sarah. I play keys and sing, and I'm a songwriter.
And I'm Tom. I also write some of the songs. We have two lead vocals. I play guitar, and then Toby's not with us, but Toby completes the band. He plays lots of different instruments, but in our band, he plays violin and acoustic guitar. And that is In Earnest. And Murph's here as well, of course. She's on
And
my
the
lap,
dog is
right?
a band math.
So why the name In Earnest? Like, what does it mean?
We're big book readers, and I kept seeing it in lots of different books. The phrase "in earnest," looked into the meaning properly, and it kind of fit what we were about, being really honest and open and sincere. And also, this band was born out of a previous band, which kind of evolved to be In Earnest, and the one of the meanings of In Earnest is to do something more seriously than before, and so I felt like it was a new step forward to be this new band, and our heads were in it to be more serious. So
Yeah, it made complete
Yeah.
sense, didn't it? We had a few other band name ideas, but they didn't last long, and I can't remember what they were either, so I can't tell you that.
So yeah, maybe you could touch up a bit on how the band got together. You guys mentioned there was an earlier group. So what happened and how did you guys come together to make the band?
we were in a band called Carousel, and there were 6 of us originally, and it gradually cut down because other people have different commitments and different interests, and it's kind of cut down, and then it was just us 3, and we thought we'd rebrand to be something. We wanted to go into a completely different genre. We were a country Americana folk thing before, and now we're kind of like this indie folk, a little bit rock.
Yeah, I mean,
genre.
we had a period of time where we were writing new songs, and just some of the songs became In Earnest songs from the first EP, which we released last year. But it just felt like a new sort of evolution, didn't it? So that's why the new name, the new everything, kind of starting again. And then well, actually Toby was a friend of a friend. We met on like kind of open mic local music scene, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And then we met Toby, who now I can't imagine not knowing Toby. He was like a friend of a friend who said, oh, there's this guy, he plays loads of instruments, and yeah, you should watch these videos. And I watched these videos of Toby, and I was like, this guy is really cool, and managed to get in touch with him, and we kind of just had a jam. And then I said, do you want to be part of the old band, which was Carousel? Yeah, that kind of covers how we met, I think. Yeah.
So congrats again for your beautiful new EP, Reasons to Be Alive. Can you maybe tell us about it, like maybe each track, a little explanation of each track?
Yeah, so the opening track wasn't originally written by the time we were going to record. It was a very late addition, and the recording got pushed back because of COVID, and so I was lucky that kind of turned out to be a song on it. But it's very much an opener in terms of like the themes, because we tap into some quite dark themes like suicidal thoughts and depression and despair, And so that's really what that song is about. But you know, being grateful, like realizing that you have to be grateful for each day as it comes. So that's the first track.
Yeah.
Into the second.
Yeah, the second track is about being in a relationship with someone who struggles with their mental health, and finding that it can be a very lonely journey being that person who is always there trying to support someone else, and maybe not taking care of yourself first. So that song was written a few years ago, but it was essentially about just times where, like, so we're a couple, and there are times where your mental health is really bad, and in very low, just you're very low and your moods are very low, and sometimes I'm the one who has to sort of pick the pieces up together, and make things okay. And it's a very hard thing because it's not something that's talked about very much. I almost wish sometimes I wish there was like a support group for people who, you know, have to kind of care for people who are struggling with their mental health, because a lot of the time the help is out there for the people struggling, which makes 100% sense, but it affects so many other people as well around the person who is suffering. And that's essentially what the second track is about. It's about feeling alone even when you're not alone. It's kind of like being alone in a situation, and feeling like there's no one to turn to. Yeah, it's a pretty heavy one, that song.
Heavy. So track 3 is an instrumental written by Toby, and he wrote it in the COVID lockdown, and basically about cherishing the time he could spend at home, because normally he's a touring musician, he's all over the world performing with different artists, and I think it was a realization that it was a reflection of him being able to spend some time at home with doing the things he likes doing. So that was the representation of that track. He
made like a split screen video of himself kind of playing a few different instruments, and kind of to share that piece that he'd written. And we sort of said, we'll have that.
Add it to our EP?
Yeah. I mean, because the two of us write all of the songs that have lyrics anyway, vocals, we really wanted to give Toby the opportunity to have center stage, as it were, on a particular track, because what Toby does in the songs is massive. Like, if ever we have to do a gig and it's just the two of us, there are so many really integral bits to the music missing that we're like, it's just not the same if we ever have to play a gig as a duo. And it's nice to be able to reflect that on the records as well, to actually give Toby his moments to kind of play something that he's written as well. So that was nice. That's the first time we've ever done that.
Then track 4, Humans, is about the climate crisis, and as we went through not a phase, but we have this kind of realization that we need to do more to help our planet, and so I just sort of explored that lyrically, because it's sort of written from the standpoint of Mother Earth, sort of describing how humans are killing the planet, essentially. So that's quite a deep one as well, but in a different kind of way.
A different topic for us as well, because we haven't really ever explored that. We get asked quite a lot actually about how do we decide the subject matter that we write about, and I guess we don't really choose it just surfaces, or it doesn't. So we try not to force anything too much. We just write about what's on our mind at the time, and it can be anything. Which we've written about the dogs before as well. We did a double single that was all about our dogs. I think that's key, is just writing music about things that matter to you. Hopefully that's what most of us are trying to do anyway. Track 5 is Welcome to Hope County. We're nearly at the end.
So we've been waffling a lot.
So Welcome to Hope County is a song about sort of remaining by someone's side, no matter if they're having a good day or a bad day or a hard time in general. It's probably the hardest song to play for me anyway, because there's lots of time changes, really different sections happening.
It's got an overall a jubilation.
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
got like
It's
a
really
very
nice,
hopeful.
nice tone.
Yeah, it's got a very warm, kind of hopeful sound to it. It's one of my favorites. It's got the title, the EP title in the lyrics as well. So that's cool. Yeah, that's from a book by Matt Haig called Reasons to Stay Alive, which is kind of where we were inspired by the title. So he was one of the first people that we read their book, and we were so inspired by how open and transparent they were about mental illness and their own personal experience, that kind of led us to writing about that in our own lyrics.
Open things, yeah. Then we have the last track, which is Hands Are Tied, and I had this kind of mellow song, and I felt like I was just moaning in it. It's just about how debilitating depression is and can be, and I played it to guys, and I was like, I just don't know if anyone wants to hear this, because it's just me moaning about things. But then I had this cool idea that, like, how can I portray how overwhelming that feels, but in music form? So at the end of the song, there's just this explosion of noise, and I wanted it to feel like a literal skydive, but in your face of just all this noise. And so we tried to create that, and it kind of worked. It gave it a little bit of a resistance between the mellowness of the rest of the track and then this sudden jump of overwhelming emotion, and that completes the EP.
Yeah, and if you have it on loop, you don't actually hear it end. It kind of goes back into the start. I don't know if you guys have listened to it like that yet. And then the other thing just to mention is that we kind of, with the cyclical nature of the record, it's got transitions between every song, so the music doesn't actually stop. And we performed it like that live last night, and it went really well, and everybody really enjoyed it. I think it makes it more of an experience rather than just watching a load of different songs. Which was really cool to see people kind of respond to that in a live way. It's just very mind-boggling to try and perform. But it was fun.
Yeah, we could hear that, like, the EP as the order was significant. We could hear like it was meant to listen in that order. So
yeah, sure.
What was the hardest song to write in the EP? The hardest one.
Hardest song to write. I feel like the opening track was very significant for me in terms of how honest I wanted to be. I wanted to be very blunt and very direct about difficult topics. So openly, the first lyric is, "I really believe I should have died last year." Like, that's such an instant kind of, I don't know, like, negative thing to be saying, but I wanted to show the ugly side of it. I don't just want to say, oh, I'm suffering something, but I feel better now. I didn't want to kind of have that like positive spin on it necessarily. I just wanted to kind of put it out there and be very blunt. So for me, that was the most difficult to write.
Yeah. I'm not sure which of mine was more difficult to write. It probably would have been track 5, which is Welcome to Hope County, the one with the title in the lyrics, only because there are all these really different sections. It's almost like 2 or 3 different songs in one. And that, I mean, we've sort of done that from time to time, but not quite as in such a dramatic way. So it was just it was probably more technically challenging to write than it was to kind of come up with the lyrics and stuff like that. I find that you just have to do things with confidence. So if you do something weird or something that people don't expect, you have to do it with confidence. Otherwise, no one else believes in it either.
So when you guys were working on the EP, do you like to listen to music, or do you go back to like old favorites, or do you just say, I don't want to listen to anything, so I'm totally clear about what I want to make?
I always have a writing inspiration playlist going on the go all the time, and I'm always listening that, just at random times. The thing is, with our writing process, it spans a long period of time, so it's not just like, oh, this month we're going to write an EP and then we're going to record it soon. It happens over a long period of time. So some of the songs were written in 2019 and some of them were only really wrapped up kind of just before we recorded last year. So we kind of just, I feel like we grasp the opportunity at any time. I feel like when you're inspired, you just have to grab the opportunity.
I mean, I think we always listen to, because I've definitely heard of people saying that when they're in the creative zone, they don't want to listen to anything. But I think the reason that it doesn't affect us in a particularly way is that I think the music that the three of us listen to is so varied that actually listening to whatever we want all the time, these little tiny things from all the different genres that we listen to all add up to what we end up creating. So even if I'm listening to a lot of this kind of music, it's never going to sound like that when we put it together. Like as an example, I listen to loads of like black metal and really extreme music, which is in most ways nothing like what we do. But I would, for instance, pluck some of the kind of lyrical intensity out of heavy, rock or metal music. And that is just one little tiny thing. And then by the time that you pluck something from somewhere else, Toby puts in parts that are kind of, he always goes for folk because Toby's really into folk music. By the time the combination all gets put together, it doesn't really matter what we were listening to. It always sounds like
in earnest.
Earnest, hopefully. That's what we'd like to think anyway. So yeah, we don't shy away from music. We just take it all in all the time, don't we? And even when we were recording this EP, we would be listening in our breaks. We'd be listening to whatever we wanted.
Whatever we were vibing that day.
Yeah. So what do you want your audience to retain from this EP? What do you want? I mean, what is your main objective with this EP?
I would say the whole I guess it stems back to the reason why the three of us actually make music in the first place. And I think that is because we are musicians and songwriters, but I think we're also fans of music just as much. So for us to be so kind of emotionally connected to lots of music that we listen to, we would like to think that we make music that is we make music that's very raw and very personal, because that is the kind of music that really affects us when we listen to it. That's the music that we gravitate to. So I guess it's like, because the three of us like so much different music as well, and we've got so many different influences, it's like we're trying to make the music that we would like to listen to that doesn't exist. Maybe
I feel like with the cyclical element to it as well, we wanted to create this kind of immersive experience, and not just it's another EP that some old band has released this week. It's something that people can plug in and listen to and just lose themselves in, and because that's what I would want to listen to. I'd want to really get into it, really listen to all the little delicate bits in the background, and just have it as a whole experience and connect to it that way.
So you've also released EP in 2020. Do you feel like you've learned that your music has expanded between like the first EP and this one? How was the process, if the process was any different?
It was different in the way that the first EP we had recording time, like studio time booked, and we kind of said, let's record what we've got, what we had at the time. But I think what's happened since then is that we've kind of honed what kind of sound we're after, what we like and what we don't like, carved out more space for everybody to be included, as we mentioned, like for Toby to be able to have a song that we perform with him. Also balancing out like your songs versus mine. So I think I had 2 more songs than you on the first record, but then you've got more than me on the new record. Yeah, I think that we just went in with a lot more intention when we went to record the second album, second EP. We had a clear kind of vision of what we wanted, and I think just as we go along, we work out how we can. We talk about like leveling up, so we treat it like we're like evolving all the time. So we're always thinking, how can we take the next project to the like just the next level up? What can we do? Can it be a conceptual thing like the cyclical element? Can it be something else? Can we have double vocals like on the dog songs? We sang them completely together. So always trying to think of what to do differently,
diving deeper into lyrical content as well, and just being open to being more adventurous and not being afraid. I think I think we're a little bit more restrained in the first EP, and now we're just like, let's just do whatever the hell we want. Let's just go big or go home, and and we're not afraid of that anymore.
No, I think that's, I mean, one of the things that we found is that the second EP is so much more kind of technical, and we would say almost like it's more progressive. So we're trying to push the boundaries of what we're capable with. We don't just want to write, you know, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, because that doesn't interest us anymore. So we're always trying to sort of look at what it is we're writing about, what message we want to put out there, and how can we make the songs kind of really speak to that point or that thing that we're trying to say, rather than just going, oh, well, let's just do something that everyone else does. Because I think music is so accessible these days with Spotify and streaming services that, you know, I think you really have to grab people's attention. And I think by just doing the same as what everyone else does, that doesn't help that grabbing of attention happen. So yeah, quite a lot there, quite a lot of things actually.
So I wanted to actually ask you something a bit more personal. What's it like to be a couple that makes music together? Because on one hand, I imagine it's kind of like idyllic, because you're like, okay, I get to share what I love with the person I love. But on the other hand, it can be I imagine it might be a bit hard to balance things as well. Like, for example, if you have a creative difference, it might spill over into the relationship as well. So what's your experience been like?
It's interesting. No, I think we've found the balance now. I don't think in the past we kind of had. We've realized over the past few years that we cannot write songs together. It just doesn't work. We tried for many years and it just didn't work. But I think we have this kind of unspoken rule now that we just don't spoil each other's craft. So Tom's writing a song, I'll just let him get on with it. And I just won't, unless he asks for my help on it. I'll just let him do what he has to do, because I know he's just a great songwriter, and it works the other way.
Yeah, I think there's definitely that element of, you know, we have written together in the past, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, because we write in such different ways, and sometimes you just can't. It just doesn't work at all. It falls apart almost instantly. But then the kind of aspect of being a band where, well, it's especially being in a DIY band where you're doing everything yourself. So we make our own artwork, we do all our own PR, we make all our own demos. There's so much that we do. There have been times in the past where you've particularly found it really overwhelming, and you're like, where does the band end and our relationship kind of start? Where does it?
It can be quite consuming, just because our house is in earnest HQ, and you know, I mean, we have a whiteboard with everything written on it, that with dates of things being scheduled. Sorry,
in our front room, yeah.
And it can get a bit overwhelming, but I think you have to work out time to relax. Like, this is the cut-off point of working, and then we can relax and just be a couple again.
Yeah.
I think that's the key.
I mean, it does have the advantage that we are always ahead of ourselves, because we're always kind of talking about things, because when you're in a band and you all live in different places, in different households, you don't have that ability to kind of always have it as a light conversation in the background. Not saying we talk about it all day, every day, but most days we say something about the band, like, oh, should we post this later? Yeah, cool. So it might be tiny conversations every single day, which kind of streamlines everything and the way that the band works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think that it would work in quite the same way as if we all lived, everyone lived separately. So it's a little bit different to most bands, I would say, in that respect. But yeah, it's mostly good. It's mostly a positive thing, I would say.
So how is it playing live again? Just see your audience, or even seeing the live reaction of your audience with a new EP, and just to perform again? How is it?
It was so great. Last night was our first hometown show, and it was just, I mean, I cried twice on stage because I just got so overwhelmed with it all. But it's so weird being back in the room with people.
I think you, especially when you've got like new music out, it's because you live with the music and working on it for so long, you lose the ability to be objective of it. You start to wonder whether what you've made is good or not, because you're so close to it all the time that you feel like you can't even make that judgment anymore. Obviously, when you wrote the songs and you agreed, we have to record these songs, these are the best ones we've got, then that is probably enough to, give you the thumbs up and say, yes, the music's great. But over time, you just forget, because you get to know them probably too well. And so it was really nice yesterday to go back to a live setting where people don't just listen to the music, but they feel it as well, because we played in essentially a rock club last night, so we've made lots of noise, and it's just amazing to get that positive feedback after so long, isn't it? After basically 2 years of no shows. I mean, we've been working hard rehearsing, and
I mean, I feel like last night I had like 50% adrenaline and 50% just being relieved that people were enjoying it, because you forget what live music is like and that people will enjoy gigs. So that was fun.
So obviously you just released an EP, but is there anything that we can expect from you in the near future? Maybe a tour, European tour, maybe? You should come to Holland, definitely.
Yeah, we would love to play it. What's your big venue in Amsterdam? Is it Paradiso?
Yeah, we have Paradiso.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, we'd love to play there. But well, the next thing we've got coming up is that the EP has a short film that we made to accompany it. So that will be coming in a couple of weeks' time. We spent about 4 months planning it, because we've done it all ourselves with the help of a friend who's a photographer and a videographer. So we had a bit of help with him and a couple of others, but we mainly made this movie ourselves in like a week, 6 days. We shot it all in, and that follows all the songs and kind of helps enhance the messages in the songs and give you something to look at as well, if you've listened to the EP quite a lot. Got a couple of shows as well.
Yeah, beyond this year, no idea yet.
Yeah,
I mean, we'd love to do an album. It's on the cards that we were speaking about, an album, and we just want to play shows, really.
Well, that's the thing we've been missing.
I think the next thing we really want to try and do is some kind of UK tour, or get on a support tour or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how easy it would be now to do a Euro tour, especially being like,
there's a lot of like visa things going on.
It probably costs quite a lot of money now
Yeah.
to do, whereas it wouldn't have done a few years back.
Yeah.
But we'll let you know if ever we can come to, if ever you can help bring us to the Netherlands,
I would love
we'd love to go.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so before we bring this to an end, is there anything else that maybe we didn't ask you that you would like to share, or anything you would like to plug in, maybe where listeners can find your music
Yeah.
or your social media, or just
Yeah,
a
so
general message?
So our EP Reasons to Stay Alive is out now. People can find it
On
where?
Spotify, Apple Music. I think it's literally everywhere, on every store. If you want to check us out on social media, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at inearnest band.
Yeah, we're gonna share
and then
too.
great, and also inearnest.co.uk is our website. It's got all our videos on there. We made quite a few kind of DIY music videos in lockdown last year, so there's lots of stuff to look at as well if you're bored of just listening.
Well, amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for your
No
time.
worries, our pleasure.
And again, congrats for this beautiful EP. And
Thanks so much.
yeah, we're looking forward to maybe hear from you again soon. And
Yeah, absolutely.
we'll
be in
definitely
touch.
keep in touch. Yeah.
Awesome. No, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Of course.
Let us know when the podcast is out, and of course we'll share it everywhere and get people to listen to it. That'd be great.
Amazing. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Great.
Thank you. Good luck.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Okay, guys, thank you for tuning in to the very first Cool Beans show with earnest.
Yep. And if you liked it and you listened to the whole thing, then please support us in what we're doing. And
subscribe, thumbs up, everything.
yeah, we'll have this out on YouTube and SoundCloud, so you can follow us there and reshare the video.
Yeah, and internet information will be all linked below in the description.
So be sure to go and follow them as well and check out their EP. But yeah, that's it for us. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Yeah. Bye, guys.